to our Teen Read Week webinar, Turning Dreams into Reality at Your Library, College and Career Readiness Programming for Young Adults. I'm Nicole Gibby Munguia. I'm the Program Officer for Continuing Education for YALSA, and I'd like to go over a few features of our webinar software before we get started. We'll be communicating with each other via chat throughout the webinar, so feel free to ask any questions through the chat box at any point during the program. If you would prefer to not see the chat box during the course of the webinar, you can click on the full screen button, which is located on the upper right-hand side of your screen, and that will eliminate the chat and attendee list boxes. And then to undo that function, you simply click on the button again. At the upper left-hand side of the screen, you should see an image of a person with her hand raised. And if you click on the down arrow next to the image of the person, you'll see that you have a variety of options, which include raising your hand, laughing, applauding, agreeing, or disagreeing. If you experience any audio issues at any point during the program, please send me a message in the chat box, and I'll work with you directly to resolve them. After today's presentation, you'll receive a copy of the slides from the PowerPoint, as well as a link to the recording. And if you would like to receive a certificate of participation, I'm happy to provide that. Simply send me an email following the webinar, and I will email you back with the document. Cheryl, I now turn it over to you.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me. I've had to turn down the volume on my mic as mentioned earlier because I'm having some echo issues, so hopefully everything goes well. This is my first webinar I've ever done. I'm usually used to talking in front of an audience, so you guys are kind of my guinea pigs, so yay! This is me, your FAB facilitator, Cheryl A. Eberly. I am the Principal Librarian for the Young Adult and Volunteer Services at the Santa Ana Public Library in California. I was asked to do this presentation because I had participated in a YALSA-sponsored Teen Future of Teen Services seminar that was held in Seattle, Washington last year. And I had spoken a lot about experience that I've had doing workforce development and college and career programs for young adults. Today, this is what we're going to cover today. I'm going to teach you a little bit and introduce myself and my program with the Santa Ana Public Library Circle of Mentoring and the Seeds to Trees model for young adult college and career readiness programming. And then how you can kick off a YA college and career readiness program by connecting Teen Read Week to college and career readiness. This is sort of, for those of you who haven't done a lot of college and career readiness sort of programming, this is something that you can kind of kick off like a year of this sort of programming during the Teen Read Week, which has, a really, achievement of your dreams sort of theme. Then you can take it up a notch and here's some ideas about some basic YA college and career readiness programming that has college prep programming ideas. All these programs are stuff that I've personally done at the library that I work at. Also, then basic YA college and career readiness programming for workforce readiness. Then you can take it a step further and do intermediate college and career programming. And this is basically an introduction to the type of high-impact volunteer programming we have at our library, at the Santa Ana Public Library, that's dedicated solely towards developing our teen core. Then we have, if you want to go even further after you, venture through intermediate YA college and career readiness to advanced college and career readiness programs, and this is where I'll lead you to some tips and ideas on how you can develop and implement high-impact college and career externship sort of workforce readiness programs at your library, and go into a little bit of summing everything up with the core elements of successful college and career readiness programming. Hopefully, this will help you, kind of guide you a little bit more. When I first started at the Santa Ana Public Library, I was in charge of the Santa Ana History Room. I didn't start out as a young adult librarian. I started out actually as a historian in the History Room. At that time, we had just gotten a grant to digitize historical collections, and we had a lot of young adult teen volunteers coming in to assist us with this digitization. They were comfortable with technology, but as they were helping us, and we just started talking. I started talking to them about, their dreams, their ambitions, what they wanted to do with their lives, and they they were very honest with me. A lot of them had great ambitions, had great dreams. These were, semi-high achieving students, but they had a lot of fears about school, about what that meant. The thing you need to know about Santa Ana is that it is a majority Latino community. Many of the youth have parents who haven't gone to college or even graduated high school. So most of the youth that I have coming to my library or coming to volunteer are youth that are first generation. So a lot of them, biggest problem is they don't even know what they don't know. They don't know where their information gaps are. And so they had a lot of questions about different types of careers, different types of jobs, what would they do, could they succeed, and I just sort of talked to them. I mean, I helped them with, college application stuff, reviewing essays, and this was all as it just came, kind of osmosis as a mentor. I didn't think I wanted to be it or was there. I was just there, and the opportunities provided itself. Over time, because of the many young adults that started working in the history room, that volunteered in the history room, I was asked to take on the teen library club and the teen volunteer program. So, and now I'm in young adult programming, and basically I asked them what did they want to do, this first core group of teen library club members, and they said that they wanted to learn things, they wanted to do things that was meaningful for them. And so I started getting a lot of volunteers to come in, adult volunteers to come in to teach them different skills. College and career was always part of it because they wanted to know, what they were trying to do. What were they going to school for? What was their hope? What could they look forward to in the future? Because that was really, really important to them. And bringing different adults, teaching them different skill sets, and also having them having the expectation that they would themselves have to contribute something back really sort of motivated them. The program that it kind of became called was the Circle of Mentoring. It's where we provide a safe place for community, for them to build a community amongst each other. They have caring adult mentors, and they have opportunities for meaningful contribution to society, which means all our teen programs have an element where they either do buddy programs where they mentor little kids, or they go out into the community for large community-based programs. And among some of the other community-based programs we do is we have a big haunted house, or Santa's Corner. So it's kind of, they get mentored, but they have a chance to mentor themselves. But the first initial group of teens that we had about 5 or 6 teens. They were the core group that came in. Not all of them were, the superstar students. Most of them were the students that were in the middle of the pile. They were, they were kind of what we call the invisible kid, the one that does just enough to not draw too much attention, but doesn't, fail enough to merit a lot of extra attention on that kind of end. But that first group, all of them pretty much went away to college. Several of them returned back. I've hired them since as tutors for the library because it's important to have peer mentors. So that's kind of the core guiding principle in which we do all our young adult programming, including our college and career programming, is this circle of mentors. One of the biggest successes or interesting biggest kind of achievements for us that we received an IMLS grant for 626,726 to go from 2010 to 2013. This IMLS grant we called From Seeds to Trees, Going the Bilingual Librarian of Tomorrow, from high school diploma through MLIS with Santa Ana Public Library in Orange County, Oklahoma. And it was part of the Laura Bush 21st Century Librarian Program at the Santa Ana Public Library. The reason that we even felt like we could apply or be competitive for this program, because we're a very tiny library that's very severely underfunded like most libraries, but more than most, is that we knew that there was a high need for Spanish-speaking and also Vietnamese-speaking bilingual librarians in the library community. And interestingly enough, our library, three out of the 5 principal librarians. We have 4 principal librarians and 1 library management services coordinator. She's the manager. 3 of them all started out as teen library volunteers. I mean, if you see here, this is Lupita Vega. She's a youth servicer. She started as a summer youth employee. Patty Lopez, who is in charge of adult services, started out as an as a teen herself. This is Lynn Nguyen, also started as a teen volunteer, and they learned about the library profession, and they were mentored and they were nurtured through their bachelor's degrees. They have different bachelor's degrees. One has it in biology, one has it in human services, one has it in graphic design, and they were further encouraged to pursue the MLIS, and now they are basically the leads for the library. We also had several other librarians who are on the pathway right now, who started off as teenagers, who came in as teen volunteers. So we had a really, really strong culture of getting young adults to come in, start off as volunteer, and then train them and nurture them and mentor them towards pathways into librarianship. Also, with Santa Ana, being the city had such a huge high school dropout rate and such a high low college attainment rate, it was a really interesting phenomenon to see that in our library, for the teens that participated in our program, 99% had a high school graduation rate, and about 95% of them all went into college. And of the ones that went into college, several of them came back and volunteers. They came back as volunteers to share their skills, or they graduated and they came back and they work as tutors. I have a pool of hundreds of previous teen volunteers or young adults that I can call in right now. To hit. Hey. I need to do a work. Workshop. Like, for example, I said I needed to do a workshop on Peruvian. Cuisine and Peruvian culture. Psychology. One of my older years youth and who graduated evaluated that bachelor's is working on a MA in teaching. And said, hey, can you come in? And they were there. So um, we felt like we had something that was really interesting. That was because you know, powerful, and we wanted to quantify it. So that's why we apply. For this this grant and we partnered with Reforma, which is the Spanish speaking library association. Part of the grant um, created it took the activities and opportunities that we already have had and put it and made it more kind of made it into a program element. all participants had to participate in field trip and career awareness experience. They did library discovery field trips to different types of libraries. Like the Nixon president. Presidential library. A science library. Went to some museum. So it's library. Museum. Uh, Getty Center Museum. We did library. career exploration. Field trip. That we went to different sorts of like I said, the law library to learn about that sort of profession. Uh, Librarians do what information professionals do in companies.
So thank you.
Did library career information sessions, and this is really